What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus check update, the two upcoming packages, part one, the physical infrastructure package, and part two, the largest stimulus package yet, $3.5 trillion, the American Families Plan. We have major updates on this. Yes, we're going to get right into it and what happened. Actually, we have some very good news and some bad news on what is going on with these two packages. Let me know what you want to hear first, the good news or the bad news. Yeah, let's start with the good news. First, let's start with the good news. Here's what happened. So first, as of last night, the senators had announced a bipartisan infrastructure deal, and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer was pushing for a vote last night, potentially. Well, here's what happened on the Senate floor regarding part one of the infrastructure package. Remember, part one has to happen in the Senate. Remember, these votes are happening in the Senate first. They do not have to happen in the House first. They're happening in the Senate first. Part one, physical infrastructure package, and then part two, the stimulus package, is going to happen next. So here's what happened on the Senate floor last night.
On this vote, the yeas are 67, the nays are 32. 3/5 of the senators duly chosen and sworn having voted in the affirmative. The motion upon reconsideration is agreed to. The clerk will report.
Motion to proceed to H.R. 3684, an act to authorize funds for federal aid highways, highway safety programs, and transit programs, and for other purposes.
Mr. President.
The Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I want to commend the group of senators who worked with President Biden to reach an agreement on a bipartisan infrastructure bill. The Senate has just come together and in a strong bipartisan fashion voted to begin the legislative process here on the Senate floor. For the past few months, I have laid out a two-track strategy on infrastructure, a bipartisan bill focused on traditional brick-and-mortar infrastructure projects, and a budget reconciliation bill where Democrats plan to make historic investments in American jobs, American families, and efforts to fight climate change. In order to start work on a reconciliation bill, the Senate must pass a budget resolution first. As I've said repeatedly, our goal was to pass both bills in this session, hopefully in July. My goal remains to pass both bipartisan My goal remains to pass both the bipartisan infrastructure bill and a budget resolution during this work period. Both. It might take some long nights. It might eat into our weekends. But we are going to get the job done, and we are on track. Again, the vote tonight means we're on track to reach our two-track goal before the Senate adjourns for the August recess. I yield the floor.
So, wow, there we have it. Okay, so, yeah, there's a lot going on. So first, this vote passed the Senate. This is the first vote. So remember that the way things work in the Senate and the House, they don't just go up for one vote, okay? This is just not the way things work in the House and the Senate. They go through a series of votes, a vote to proceed, and there's a couple different votes in there. So first of all, this is the vote that just failed on, I think it was Monday, okay? So the vote that just failed a few days ago has now passed. This is how negotiations work, and this is why I said, I think it was on Monday that it failed. Don't panic. This is kind of how democracy works, and this is democracy in action. So the Republicans and the Republicans and the Democrats are working at this. This is when we get to the bad news here in a second. I'm going to tell you the same thing. Don't panic, because again, I just kind of I feel like I have my finger on the pulse of how the negotiations work here. So that's why I always say don't panic, because I feel like these things kind of always work themselves out a little bit. So that's just kind of how these things are. So the vote that just failed a few days ago now passed. So Part one of the physical infrastructure package that has to pass first, and then the second part with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer just says they're still trying to pass before the end of July. Now, that's in like what, like 2 more days, 2.5 more days. I'm not sure if that's going to happen before the end of July. It could happen a few days into August. We're going to see. Yeah, but I mean, they're getting really closer. They're getting really, really close. So the good news is the first part of the physical infrastructure package is passed. They're going to be working on the rest of the parts here. Remember, again, this is how the Senate works here. This is how the House of Representatives works as well. Again, I think that everybody here, along with me here over the last year or so, we've all learned a lot here about how Congress and how democracy, how the United States government works here. Yeah, all this stuff is a process, and all these packages take time. And this is how the government works. There's checks and balances to all this stuff. So the vote that just failed a few days ago has now passed, okay? So as you can see here, the Senate on late last night, Wednesday, agreed to take up the bipartisan infrastructure package hours after the Senate and the White House announced that they had reached a deal after weeks of closed-door haggling negotiations. Senators voted 67 yes to 32 no. The 32 no's were all Republicans. 17 Republicans voted yes, joining all 50 Democrats to launch a floor effort that could conclude with a Senate victory for the bipartisan package that has been championed by President Biden. The 17 Republicans that voted yes were Roy Blunt, Richard Burr, Shelley Moore Capito, Bill Cassidy, Susan Collins, Kevin Cramer, Mike Crapo, Lindsey Graham, Chuck Grassley, John Hoeven, Lisa Murkowski, Rob Portman, Jim Reich, Mitt Romney, Tom Tillis, Todd Young, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. Wow, Mitch McConnell, who was just trashing the bill on Monday, now voted to advance the bill. So note that only 17 Republicans voted yes, so they still have to kind of make sure that over the next day or two, when they go to finalize the bill, that they still need to keep Republicans happy and don't like try to change the bill or anything like that. Big hurdles remain for the bill to reach a final vote, and negotiators are still finalizing text. The Senate is currently using a shell bill that will eventually include agreed upon language. Okay? Interesting there. So we really don't even have a full bill on the infrastructure bill. Still, Wednesday represented a bill for President Biden and the negotiators. Quote, we now have an agreement on the major issues. We are prepared to move forward, said Republican Senator Rob Portman, who led the talks for the Republicans. Quote, we look forward to moving ahead and having an opportunity to have a healthy debate here. Democratic Senator Kristen Sinema, who led the talks for the Democrats, very important news here we're going to get to in a minute, added to reporters, we're very excited to have a deal. I want to just say everyone has been incredible in doing this work for many months. Okay, now let's move on to the bad news. Remember that part one is going to be passed, then sent over to the House. Then part two is going to be passed in the Senate only by the Democrats through the reconciliation process, which is a process that only the Democrats are going to pass it. So even though only the Democrats are going to pass it, there's still going to be negotiations, but it's going to be negotiations only between the Democrats because they're going to use the reconciliation card, the reconciliation process. It's a process that bypasses the filibuster rule, the rule that means you need 60 votes. It means you only need 50 votes, so you're going to see 50 Democrats vote yes, 50 Republicans vote no, and then the tiebreaker vote, when you get 50 yeses, 50 noes, goes to the Vice President of the United States, who just happens to be a Democrat at the moment. Vice President Kamala Harris will be the 51st vote for the tiebreaker vote to get the 51st vote, which will pass it pass the bill. That is exactly how the third stimulus check package was passed back at in March. And that's how the House of Representatives is passed, but they don't need a reconciliation process. They only need one more vote past 50%. That's just normal. For the House of Representatives, you only need one vote past 50%. In fact, the Democrats only have like a 3 or 4 vote lead, depending on if everybody shows up. If nobody's sick, and there's actually a few people that died in the House of Representatives, and nobody's sick, if everybody shows up, all those good things, right? So the Senate has this filibuster rule that the Republicans actually tried to get rid of in 2017 and 2018 when the Republicans controlled the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Former President Trump wanted the filibuster rule gotten rid of then. Now the Democrats want to get rid of it because it's this rule that you need 60% of the votes, and it's very difficult to pass bills with both Republicans and Democrats agreeing because you can never get them to agree. It's hard to even get all of everybody in your own party to agree, which kind of leads us to the bad news here. And here's the bad news. A Democratic Senator, Kristen Sinema, says that she opposes the $3.5 trillion price tag for the spending bill, the next stimulus package. She doesn't oppose the bill itself. She's just opposing the $3.5 trillion price tag. So she came out yesterday and says this. So let me show you what she says, and then I'll explain to you what this means. So Senator Kristen Sinema said yesterday that she does not support the $3.5 trillion price tag for the sweeping spending package at the center of President Biden's legislative agenda, also known to most people as the next stimulus package or the American Families Plan. She said in a statement first reported by the Arizona Republic, she's from the state of Arizona, said she would vote to start debate on the budget resolution. Remember, that's the first vote. That's the vote that just passed last night for the infrastructure package. That's the first vote. So she said she will vote yes for the first vote on the stimulus package. So she will vote yes for the first part, which lays the groundwork for the Democrat-only spending package, aka the stimulus package. But she wants changes, including the cost of the legislation. She says, quote, "I have made it clear that while I will support the beginning of this process, I do not support a bill that costs $3.5 trillion. And in the coming months, I will work in good faith to develop this legislation with my colleagues and the administration to strengthen Arizona's economy and help Arizona's everyday families get ahead." So she's saying basically that she's for the package and she's for helping the average everyday family. Remember, this is the American Family Plan. And they're calling this package an anti-poverty plan. They're calling this a families plan. It's going to have really a lot of stimulus items in there. And really, we really don't know what's going to be in there. They're saying a lot of things are going to be in there, like child tax credits. Remember, those will only pass for just 1 year, the $250 to $300 per month checks. Whether you consider them stimulus checks or checks from the government or child support checks or whatever you consider them, those could be in there. There's also probably or could be adult tax credits. Again, checks from the government for adults, whether you consider them stimulus checks or not. There could be stimulus checks, just regular old stimulus checks in there. But this is considered a anti-poverty plan. There's plenty of money in here, but what is going to be in there, really, we don't know because one, there's not a bill yet, and two, they really haven't decided yet. But Kirsten Sinema is kind of like Joe Manchin. And if you've been watching this show for a while, you've heard me say Joe Manchin a lot, and you've probably also heard me say Kirsten Sinema a lot. Why? Because Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema have done this repeatedly because they're moderate Democrats. A lot of you guys in the comments would probably call them dinos, Democrats in name only. And ultimately, that's just kind of a funny name because they ultimately always end up voting with the Democrats. they will ultimately, just like Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema both did vote yes for the third stimulus check package, which they both voted yes and passed the third stimulus check package without a single Republican vote, which was the largest stimulus check package, at least money wise for people. um, former President Trump's first stimulus package was the most dollar wise, $2.3 trillion. But President Biden's $1.9 trillion third stimulus check package had the most amount of money that went to the people. Even though it was 1.9 trillion as opposed to former President Trump's 2.3 trillion, the $1.9 trillion had more money that went to people. It had $1,400 stimulus checks as opposed to $1,200. $1,400 stimulus checks for children as opposed to, what was that first stimulus check for children? It was $600. It had $1,400 checks for adult dependents and college student dependents, which the first stimulus check didn't even have checks for adult dependents and college students. So 1,400, 1,400, 1,400 as opposed to 1,200, 600, and 0. It also had the child tax credits, which increased the child tax credits from $2,000 to $3,000 to $3,600, and now has these monthly payments, these monthly checks. It also had like $45 billion in rental assistance, which is really still going out. Less than 10% of it has gone out, but it will eventually all gone out. It will eventually all go out. They're probably going to have to lower the stringent qualifications and make it easier for people to qualify. The SNAP WIC and pandemic EBT help, the internet assistance, which we may see more of, all the different things that were in that last package that I probably can't even remember all of the things that were in there. We're going to see a lot of things in this next package like that, whether there's going to be stimulus checks, child tax credits, adult tax credits, Social Security raises, Medicare 2.0, which is hearing, dental, vision coverage, hearing aid coverage, lower the Medicare eligibility age. We're going to see like a whole bunch of different stimulus type items in there, whether they're stimulus checks, adult tax credits, child tax credits. Remember, a stimulus package has all sorts of different stimulus items in there, right? It's stimulus checks and all these different things, or whatever they're going to end up putting in this package. So, whether they're going to have to negotiate, okay? They always have to negotiate. There's always the Kirsten Sinema and the Joe Manchins of the world. So, just like when they voted the Monday bill down and they voted no, and not a single Republican voted no on it. And I told you guys, don't panic. Honestly, I wasn't concerned about it at all because I was like, honestly, this is just politics. They're probably going to pass this within the next 48 hours. And lo and behold, 48 hours later, they passed it. Why? Because honestly, I just kind of have a feeling for these things. And honestly, I'm not right all the time. Sometimes they throw a curveball at me from left field, and sometimes I'll be like, honestly, I didn't see that one coming at all. Like when they threw that $10,200 provision in there from the third stimulus check package in there. Like they had mentioned that like one time ever. Like there was some obscure bill that was mentioned like one time ever. And I had like reported it on my channel like one time ever. And it was just like one of those things in passing that like we mentioned on the channel like one time ever. And it was like never mentioned again, right? And then all of a sudden they added it in the third stimulus check package at the last moment in the Senate after the House had passed the bill, and it was like, wow, like what even is this? Like, I mentioned it one time on the channel, but it was like a total curveball. So I normally have my finger on the pulse on this thing because, again, I report this stuff to you guys every day. I'm reading through these articles. I'm watching these interviews from Republicans and from Democrats. I'm listening to the president. I'm listening to Mitch McConnell. I'm listening to Chuck Schumer. So I pretty much have a good idea of what these guys are saying, and I'm reporting it to you guys. So that's why I said, like, hey, this is what's happening. This is what's probably going to happen. Like, hey, Bernie Sanders is in charge of this next package. Like, hey, they're announcing it's $3.5 trillion. Like, hey, it could get negotiated down a little bit. Like, hey, Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema, they're going to negotiate it a little bit. If it gets negotiated down a little bit, honestly, it's no big deal. I mean, hey, the third stimulus check package was $1.9 trillion. So Anything over that is a win. Now, I really don't think that they're going to negotiate down from 3.5 trillion all the way down to 1.9 trillion. I don't think that one person, Kirsten Sinema or Joe Manchin, is going to negotiate that package all the way down. I just really don't think that one person like that is going to, I don't really think they have that much power, so to say. Um, I don't know if that's the right word to say. I just don't know if they want to I don't know if they want to like hurt the people that bad or hurt their own people, hurt their own state that bad, or hurt everybody that bad. Because remember, there's a lot of things in this package that I would consider groundbreaking. Like I really consider this Medicare 2.0, these new Medicare benefits, groundbreaking. I know some people have some of these Medicare benefits already, but the majority of seniors like do not have these benefits. Also, they're going to lower prescription drug prices probably in this package significantly. So like I see a lot of you guys' comments that say that you have prescription drug price or prescription, you have prescriptions that you can't afford, and they're probably in this package going to lower that significantly. And that is going to be one of those things that is going to be groundbreaking. 2 years of free college is going to be groundbreaking. There's just literally college and the cost of healthcare. Unless you get healthcare from the government for free, or if you get it through Medicare, if you have to pay for your own healthcare, it's insane. The cost of healthcare and the cost of college are two like pandemics in this country that the cost is just getting out of control. Like if you have to pay $100,000 or more to go to college for 4 years, it's insane. It's out of touch with reality. And I think that this making 2 years of free college free is going to be groundbreaking. It's going to be game changing for millions and millions of Americans going forward. That's just one of the things that they're changing in this next package. So I think that there's a lot of things that are going to be game changing in this next package, and that we're going to see in this next package. 2 years of free college, Medicare 2.0, many stimulus items, whether it's going to be stimulus checks, it's going to be child tax credits, it's going to be adult tax credits that could be monthly payments. We could literally see these child tax credits that are basically $3,000 to $3,600 per year, or basically the $250 to $300 per month. We could literally see that same thing happen with adult tax credits getting paid out per month to adults or low income adults. We could see that same thing happen to adults and basically get paid out $250 to $300 per month for low income adults. So honestly, there's a lot of possibilities with a $3.5 trillion package, or they lower it to $3 trillion. We really don't know. We're going to find out here. The good news is that they have passed the first part of the physical infrastructure package. They're going to be passing the rest of it here within probably the next few days, and I will keep you up to date with everything. Once they pass that, it goes to the House. We get that done. Remember, the House can't vote on it until they pass the stimulus package in the Senate as well. And then we're going to find out more what's in this package, and I will keep you up to date with everything. Everything. So let me know your thoughts. Make sure to subscribe down below. Do not miss out on any videos. Share this video with your friends and family, because honestly, in this next package is going to be a lot of game-changing, groundbreaking things, and a lot of stimulus-type items, money for families, stimulus items, checks, all sorts of things like that. So make sure to subscribe. Remember, new videos come out here every day on this channel at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click this top video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video is my newest video about how President Biden and the Democrats want to raise Social Security benefits by $200 per month or more. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.